Hey everybody, it's your Monday vlog, and this is something that I've wanted to talk about for some time now. Although it's a big topic, it's hard to approach. There's a lot of angles in which you can approach it, so we're going to start small. This first video about monster creation in 5e is really just my commentary on a theory that I have about the archetypes of designing monsters in 5e. Hopefully you find the information useful and that you can relate to it. So without any more delay, let's begin. You're watching the Dungeon Geek. Alright, so you've decided that you want to make custom monsters for your D&D 5e game. Now, you're looking for advice where to start. My answer is that you answer these three simple questions. 1. How much experience do you have playing this game? 2. How much time are you really wanting to invest in building monsters? And 3. How much do you really care about congruence to the mechanical rules of the game, your attention to detail? Hey, there are no wrong answers here. Monster creation is an art form that's backed up by science. And yeah, it requires some creativity that no one else can provide for you, but like any ability, it can be improved over time. So, good news and bad news. The good news is that 5th edition's monster stat block as a whole is part of an amazingly elegant system that is really simple to tinker with regardless of how much experience you have with the gaming system. The bad news is that the 3 core rulebooks do a horrible job at times explaining the monster creation process and even skip over entire logical steps that sometimes you're going to need to make in order to create monsters that are, say, fit to publish for the community at large. So after exploring the internet for opinions and tutorials in monster creation in 5e, it's fair to say that opinions are polarized. However, it's pretty clear to me that DMs who create monsters typically fall into one of 3 styles and sometimes cross over. Call them what you want, but I've decided here that I'm going to refer to the 3 styles as the alchemist, the mad scientist, and the clockmaker. It's also safe to say that these are generalizations and that DMs may have a fair bit of crossover in regards to the 3 different styles. It really comes down to the 3 questions that I asked up front regarding experience, time investment, and attention to detail. The alchemist. The alchemist transmutes one monster into another with methods like reskinning. You've probably heard that term before. To reskin, of course, is to take a monster from the monster manual. You call it something different, describe it differently to your players. Poof, new creature. Kind of. Most experienced players, however, though, they have such a thorough knowledge of the monsters in the game that they'll be able to sniff out your laziness at times. So if you try and reskin a troll, its regeneration and fire vulnerability are going to be a little bit obvious. Now, to shake this up a bit, you can certainly swap the abilities or attacks of creatures of similar CR to make your monsters a little bit more unique and to disguise the fact that it's just a simple skin job. Now, the Alchemist style overall is great for new players with less experience in the game, and also DMs who are in a bit of a time crunch. The Mad Scientist throws some caution to the wind when creating monsters. So when that creative spark comes during adventure prep and they say something like Monty Cook would say, now for this adventure, I want to make a noun that verbs. Mad scientists don't really spend a ton of time making sure that these stat block numbers work out as exactingly as the clockmaker would. This is okay because mad scientists typically have no qualms adjusting some monster stats on the fly in-game. They don't view variance among creatures as inconsistent, but merely as diversity among similar creature types. Now for unexperienced DMs, this can be a dangerous method to try and practice because monster CRs are something that's easy to break, which can be deadly for the PCs. Sometimes that's not a bad thing, but in most cases you want to give them a fair shake. The truly great mad scientist monster creators have experience tempered with intuition. This allows them to rely on feeling whether or not a monster will work well in-game before it even hits the table. Now, I use this method a lot whenever I improvise creatures in-game. In fact, I've created a baseline chart free to download in the description link below, which allows me to safely improvise creatures because the statistics that they are based upon are based out of the mechanics within the rulebooks. Eventually, I will make a video outlining how I use this particular handout, but that's for the future. The last style is the clockmaker. And as it sounds, they are willing to make sure that their monsters follow all of the written and unwritten rules of monster creation. If you plan on publishing your creations, the methods of the clockmaker might be the safest bet to avoid the public beratement of your ideas. I recently read a great couple of articles at a blog called The Angry GM, which touches on monster creation at this particular level of detail. Now, I believe that blogger is actually an accountant, and it shows in his attention to the rules. To be a good clockmaker that makes meticulous monster masterpieces, you are going to have to be willing to put in the time, learn the system in all of its intricacies, be willing to scrap bad ideas, take things apart, put them back together countless times, and check the results of your work for errors with a fine-tooth comb. Online tools like those available from D&D Beyond and the Genius Incorporated's monster creation tools are awesome utilities. I'm sure if you scour Reddit and Google, you'll find a half dozen more at least. Let me conclude by explaining where I stand regarding each of these methods and what I feel is best. My answer is that none of them are better than the others. Each one of them is a tool which is important to utilize when the job calls for it. To expound on my tool reference, I may use a power drill most of the time, but I would be a fool to throw away my screwdrivers. Each one of these methods can be a valuable tool inside your DM skill set, and I would encourage you to strive towards becoming more comfortable doing each one of these things, and don't scrutinize others because of their preferred method for creating monsters. At the end of the day, each one of these games is our own, and that's what makes this hobby so great. I hope to see you again real soon. Until next time, thank you so much. This has been the Dungeon Geek.